Good morning, children. Today we'll learn the hardware concepts in computers. So this is your second chapter. Let me share the screen with you and teach you. Okay, this is your second chapter. Let's learn hardware concepts. Here in the objectives, that's the things that you're going to learn is the introduction to the computer system, data and information, how does computer work, the input, output, and the storage device. You're going to learn even about the hardware and the software. Let's learn first topic, that is about the computer system. You know that the computer is a very useful electronic machine, and whatever instructions are given by you, according to that, the computer performs its task. So we can define the computer as an electronic machine that accepts the data that and the instructions. Whatever we give the data and the instructions to the computer, this is called as input. And after that, this input is being processed by the CPU, and we get the information or the result, and this is called as the output. And the computer works on electricity. It has made our life very easy and very comfortable. Without the computer, it's very difficult to live nowadays. Yes, children, this is your computer system. This is the CPU, or it's the main part of the computer. It's the brain of the computer. This is your monitor, speaker, keyboard, mouse. So these are the parts of the computer you must have already seen in the lab. The monitor, the keyboard, the CPU, the mouse, and the speaker. So the computer is an electronic machine, and it accepts the data and instructions. This acceptance is called as the input. It processes this information, it processes all these instructions or the data that we feed in, and it gives us the output, that is the information. It runs on electricity. It has made our life really comfortable. Here, the second topic is about data information. Data and information. As you know, that the computer is an electrical device, and whatever data that the user gives, it's being processed and it converts it into the information. So that is input, data, process, and output information. Whatever data that you feed in is called raw data. That is whatever you're typing on the computer, like words or numbers or any image or sound. Whatever you feed into the computer, it has to be processed. And after it processing, it produces a result or an information. And this should be a meaningful thing for the user. So here is an example of how the computer would give you a result. He's given an example in your reader, 3, 6, 9, and he says, please add it. And you get equivalent to the data. So the processor understands this type of action and gives you a meaningful output. So what does it do? Because you said plus, this is the data that is input. It goes into the processor. The processor adds all these three numbers and gives you the result as 18. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 plus 9 is 18. So the result is 18. So here there's an information given to you. The result that you get after processing the data is called the information. It is meaningful and it is organized. So did you understand what the computer does? It takes all this and makes its decision and gives you the output. And it gives you a meaningful output. Understood about data and information? Data that is input into the computer. It does the processing and gives you the output, that is the information or your result. How does the computer work? As I told you, the computer works on 4 basic steps. First, you input, that means it accepts the data that you feed into the computer. It processes this data as per your requirement. Means if you say plus, it adds. If you say minus, it subtracts or multiplies. And the output is the result of that data that you fed in and processed and gives you the result as information. This result, whatever is got and whatever you fed in, gets stored into the system. This device where it gets stored is called the storage device. I think you know. It's the RAM and the ROM that you learned. There is a block diagram in your reader about how the computer works or how your central processing unit functions. See, the input, the data is input. It depends upon the data. It goes into the, if it's a arithmetic data, it goes here, and you have the memory unit. The control unit is the most important thing that controls both these things and gives you the out. The processing does the processing and then gives you the result as output. So let's read. The data given to by the user enters as the input through different input devices. What are the two input devices that you have? The mouse, the keyboard. You have even scanner. Okay, the most common things that you use is your mouse and your keyboard. It's the input device. The input device sends the data for processing. Once you input, it goes into the processor and then only you can see it on your monitor. So it is sent, this data sent to the processor, that is a central processing unit. After getting processed, the data gets changed into information and the result is shown in the form of an output. So through different output devices, what are the different output devices? You can see through the monitor or get when it is printed or a plotter. That's also a printer. Now the user can store the information for future use by using the storage device. I think you understood the block diagram of the CPU. Now there are various devices which are termed as input devices. So we'll be discussing about input, output, and storage devices along with the processing, that's your CPU, which I already told you. What is an input device? Any data or instructions that are given to the computer is called as, or it is termed as, input. The device which you use for entering the instructions and the data, they are called as input devices, like the mouse and the keyboard. So the input device receives the data from the user. That is, you are the user. Whatever you type, that is the data received by the input device. And it provides it, it sends it to the CPU or the central processing unit. So here, the first input device is your keyboard. You know that there are 104 keys on the keyboard. The keyboard is an input device. It helps you to type data into the system. So the input, this keyboard helps you to input any information or data into the system. So it is called an input device. First, basically the basic keyboard has 104 keys. Now you have the latest keyboards which have 108, 124, which has also email and other options extra. And on the keyboard, you have letters, you have numbers, you have some symbols and special characters. This is about your keyboard. The next device is your mouse. The mouse is also an input device. It is being connected with the help of a cable. And if it is a cordless mouse, then you use a Bluetooth. And it has 3 buttons, left button, right button, and in the center you have a scroller to scroll up and down. This is called a pointer device. Let's know about the different clicks of the mouse. The left click, left single click, it's only a single click. You don't double click with using a left click. It is a single click. It helps you to select objects, any objects or any icons that are there on the desktop. So you left click the button once and then release it. And you get a pop-up option and you can select whatever option. So left click is only a single click. Left click, double click to open. So left click, single click is for clicking once and then it selects the option. But when you double click on a file or a folder, what happens? Double click, the folder or a file opens. To open any folder or file, you must double click. Single click selects the option. The right click. Right click is a single click. And to open any properties, you need the right click. When you right click, you can select the menu. Anything, when you right click on a option, you get a pop-up menu. Or when you click on the desktop, it gives you many options. You have also backgrounds which you used already. So it's a single click of the mouse. The scroll button is for moving up and down, to scroll up and down in your information, say like this. Okay. So left click, single click for selection, left double click to open a file, right is to open an pop-up, and then you select to open properties of an object, or if you want to open any desktop items, you use the mouse left click. The scroll is used to scroll up and down. You have output devices. What is an output device? Whatever result comes after your input, it goes into the processor and comes out. This is the output device. So some of the output devices are the monitor and the printer. So there are other devices also, like the speakers and output device, which gives you an audio output. Let's see about the monitor. The monitor is a screen that is a monitor, and it displays whatever task you need to perform. Like, it shows you all the small icons and helps you to watch movies or cartoons. When you click on these icons, the application opens. All program files are seen as little icons on the screen. When you select these icons, they open to the application that is shown as a picture. So you can watch movies, and you can even feed in data. It's called as a video, that is a visual display unit, and the output shown on the monitor is called as a soft copy. Whatever is shown on the monitor is a soft copy. When you print it on a paper, the paper is called as a hard copy. The next one is a printer. The printer is an output device, and it is used for printing all the works that you feed into the computer. The printer prints the results on a sheet of paper. This paper is known as the hard copy. There are many types of printer. One is dot matrix printer, which uses pins to create dots to form an alphabet. The next one is inkjet printer, and the laser printer, you know, the laser light. With the help of the light that falls on the drum, it projects the alphabet and then it prints. The next is a storage device. Storage device is a permanent place where you can store all your information and you can retrieve it whenever you like. So we have different storage devices. In the computer, we have the hard disk, which stores, it is fixed in the central processing unit, and it has a large storage capacity. And if you remove it from the computer, of course, you can carry it from one place to another. Otherwise, it is fixed in the computer. Pen drive is very easy. It's a portable device because you can remove it and use it into another computer. It is connected into a USB, which is called a universal serial bus. It's a port where you can insert the pen drive. And pen drive, you can store the information and you can open it how many times ever you like, and you can erase it. It's a read and write storage system. The CD and the DVD. CD is compact disc, and DVD is visual display, digital video display. And so you can see that this has to be, it's also another type of storage device. On a DVD, you can read and write any information, and you can see it as many times as you like. The next hardware device is your CPU. Now let's see what are the hardware devices that we have. The hardware, this computer system is having many devices attached to each other. All these devices like the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, they are attached to each other. These these devices, they function all at a time. You can use a mouse or the keyboard, all are activated at the same time. So this type of technology that is having the system of making all the things work at any time for a specific purpose using different technologies, this is called as hardware. So the hardware of the computer are those components you see in front of you and some that you can't see that are inside the CPU. That is like your hard disk, which is inside your CPU, your motherboard is inside the CPU. Certain things that you can't see, they are also called as hardware devices. Something that you can feel and touch is your hardware devices. So certain things that you can see is your keyboard, your mouse, the monitor, and the CPU. These are your hardware components that you can see. On this hardware components, you have, 1 minute children, visible hardware components of the CPU. You have the power on and off. This is a switch button. You have external ports where you can put your pen drive or you can connect even your mouse connector. These are the ports. You have a CD drive here in the middle. There's a CD drive to put your CD and play, and you have USB ports. These are the USB ports where you can insert your pen drive. You have other external hardware devices. One is the scanner. You can scan any copy. It's like your Xerox, what you do, the scanner, the printer that prints all the information, the webcam, if you're speaking to anybody, right now I'm using the webcam and I'm talking to you. The microphone also is a hardware device where you can speak and the output is in the speaker, and this is your headphones. These all are external hardware devices. Now, if you want to see the CPU, just now whatever I told you, this is the power on and off button. This is your CD or DVD drive. Here you have two single ports. These are called as the external ports. You can put your headphones or whatever inside this. And here below this, you have the USB port to put your pen drive. So these are some of the switches you need to know, children. This is your power on and off switch. I think you know. This is your external port, which I just not told you. It's available to plug in any speaker, that's the plugs, or your headphones or your microphone. All external ports are available at the back. Even you have them in the front also. Speaker is connected from the back. These are external ports available at the back. Now this is your DVD where you put your CDs inside or your DVDs to play. This is a USB port which is called the universal port to connect your pen drive, or you can connect any external like your hard disk, external hard disk. Children will do about the software in the next chapter. About software, we will learn it in the next chapter. For now, that's enough. You've learned all the input devices and the hardware devices, what is the processing used for, and some external hardware devices. Go through the video and I'll give you some questions to answer and learn your lessons well. Stay safe. Have a nice day. Thank you, children.